I really want to start by asking a question, something for you to think about. And that is, did he bring you out? Did he bring you out? I want you to think about that just for a second. Did he bring you out? And if he brought you out, why did he bring you out? And to answer it for all of us, he brought you out to bring you in. He brought you out to bring you in. What has Abba done for you? What is he doing? What has he done in the past? What does he have in store for you in the future? What has he done for you to bring you from where you were to where you are now to where he's taking you? We need to really think about it, because I think a lot of times we miss it. We miss it. We miss it because of life. We miss it because of work. We miss it because relationships. We miss it because of marriage sometimes and kids, but a lot of times we miss what he's called us to do when he brought us out. And I thought it was strange in a way until I began to study this out. And I began to see that many great moves of the kingdom happened first by him bringing them out, or calling them out, or putting them out, as we'll see in a little bit. But what did he bring you out for? The answer we'll find when we go through our text. What did he bring me out for? How do I get to where he wants me to be, so ultimately I can get to where I need to be, I want to be, which is with him? Amen? So we started with him, and hopefully all of us have a desire to end with him, to rule and to reign with him. Amen? So let's look at this. Let's go through it together. He brought us out to bring us in. Let us pray. Abba, thank you. I just want to thank you for this time. Thank you for your word. Thank you that your word is true, living, and is active. That, Abba, your word accomplishes its purpose. And so I pray, Abba, that you would speak to us and give us ears to hear and hearts that we would receive from you today. Abba, give us hearts that are open just to receive from you. Help us to find ourselves in you today, living in you today, individually and for our hearts and for our lives, for the work that you have to do and want to do in us and through us. Abba, we invite you into this very time, this very moment, that you would have your way in our lives, that we would decrease and you would increase, that we might receive a word from you today. And we ask these things in the name of Yeshua, our Messiah. Amen. 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 So he brought us out to bring us in. He brought us out of something. You came from somewhere. Your journey didn't start here. And even for many of you, if it did, which I think there's only one that I know of in the house, that journey didn't start here, it started somewhere else. And he called you. He called you from where you were. He called you while you were doing what you were doing. He called you with the lifestyle that you were living. He called you on the journey from where you are, from where you were to where you are now. And his goal is, how are we going to get to where he wants us to be? So the first thing we need to do is we begin to look at what's in our way. What is stopping us or hindering us? What obstacles are between us and the next phase in our life? And you're going to have many phases in this journey as we go from where we are to where he is. There's going to be many journeys, many obstacles. But the challenge is to not look at the obstacle as an obstacle, but look at the obstacle as a stepping stone. You can either call it a failure or you can call it a lesson. I choose to call it a lesson. And I think we all need to start calling the trials and the tribulations that we're going through, the proving, as it says, the pruning, as it says, begin to look at it as an opportunity to grow. From where I am to where he is where I want to be. There was a test. I heard about it this week. I was sharing with Rabbi. There was a test that I heard from motivational speaker Tony Robbins talking about these rats that were in this maze. And they were trying to train these rats to avoid pain, to get through the pain of the obstacle, to get to the desired end in this maze. So the first time that the rats went through, the rats hit the little electric thing that buzzed them, gave them a little shock. They hit it, and they quickly jumped off of it. That anybody would do, right? You get shocked, you can jump off of it. And they decided, going through this maze, they're just going to avoid all the shocks, which would be easy enough, right? You go through life, just avoid all the obstacles, and you get to where you need to get to. But how many of you know life doesn't work that way? It's not a simple maze where we know and can memorize where all the pits and the falls are, where all the failures are. Life isn't built that way. But one thing that they found out in this test is once they blocked off the ways around and he had to go through these areas where the obstacles were, the rats just adapted to getting shocked. It hurt, but the result was greater than the pain. You got to realize that while you're going through this journey, there is purpose in your pain. Stop looking at the pain and focus on the purpose. There's purpose in your pain while you're going through. He brought you out to bring you in. He brought you out to bring you in. And these rats began to go through this maze and go through this journey. And every time they went through, they got adapted to being shocked. They got used to being shocked. And wouldn't you know that if you keep going through life and keep getting zapped and keep getting shocked, at some point you'll begin to get numb to the effect of what's going on in your life, and you'll begin to ignore some things. But even though it sounds good, there's a purpose in the pain, and the purpose should be for you to learn from where you are so you can grow to the next level. To not get numb while you're going through. There's a purpose in the pain. Don't get numb while you're going through it. You'll miss the point. We're praying, oh, Lord, take me out. Yahweh, take me out. Deliver me from this thing that I'm going through. I don't want to be here anymore. And he says, you're in it to win it. You're in it. You're going through it so I can take you where I need to take you. There's a purpose. If you look at the right perspective, if you look at it in the right lens, that it's a purpose to what you're going through. It's not to defeat you, but it's to give you strength to make it to the next point in your life, the next journey. Amen? He brought you out to bring you in, to bring you closer to him, so he can take you through the next journey, the next part of your life. Let's go to Genesis 3. We're going to begin to read Genesis 3. All through Scripture, we'll see, even in Genesis, starting there, that people were getting called out, kicked out, put out to grow. And in the story, we're going to look at Adam and Eve. And we're going to read it. But Adam and Eve got kicked out. And some people, I know, some people going to say, well, they got kicked out because they were disobedient. They were. They were very disobedient. But he kicked them out, knowing that they would be brought back in at the end of the book with Yeshua, our Messiah. Amen? And the restoration. So let's look at chapter 3 and verse 23. So Yahweh Elohim sent him out of the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which he was taken, and he drove the man out. And he placed cherubim at the east of the Garden of Eden and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way of the tree of life. He put him out. Why did he put them out? Yes, they were disobedient. Yes, there was a punishment. We would like to think that because they got kicked out and they had it so nice that they would turn around and be, angry with Yahweh. But they weren't, because if you keep reading, you'll see that they bore Cain and Abel and they began to get offerings. So they were teaching their kids something. They just didn't pop out knowing how to go give offerings, so they still had a relationship. But they screwed up. Don't we screw up? Yeah, I'm raising my hand for me. I'm not raising for you, Asia. I'm raising it for me. Because a lot of times, it's the leadership that people think are perfect. It's funny that people don't want us to have judgment on them, but we're judged so very harshly at times. And that's okay, because it's part of the job. But we're not perfect. I don't think you can look at any leader in the Bible and see perfection other than our Messiah, Yeshua. He took the ordinary and made extraordinary. He brought us out to bring us into relationship with him. It's all about our perspective and how we see, how we deal, how we think, how we act, how we respond. I had somebody recently come and ask me, they said, is it okay to say bad words? Rabbi has a thing in Focus, I think it was, about saying bad words. And they asked me, and I said, well, if you listen to Rabbi's teaching, it was about perspective and context. He didn't say that you just go around willy-nilly because you can't think of any other vocabulary words and just use bad words. It may be offensive to somebody. So I said, no, you shouldn't use bad words. In your journey from where you were to where you are now, did you use bad words where you came from? They said no. Why not? Because it wasn't accepted. It's still not. Right perspective, right context. So don't think because you arrived to a certain place called m.t.o.i. Beshalom, now all of a sudden, now you can say your bad words. Because it ain't going to go over too well with all of us. Right perspective, right context. Now, I don't mind. I'm not personally offended by using bad words. I just think it's something wrong with the person sometimes, or maybe they're angry, upset, and I understand that. But if it's just conversation and they're using that kind of language, I'm just thinking that is my head really looking at them like this, or is it just the way I feel like looking at them like how? I'm not understanding it. So somewhere on the journey, we left some things we should have brought with us to where we are. Somewhere along the way, we left some of the good that we had from our journey to get to where we are. We left that back wherever we came from, and we think that because we're here that we can't use those tools that Abba has trained and given us to use now. What you're seeing now is a result of my journey. It's not a result of me being here. The fact that I'm standing before you is a result of me being here. But the fact of what I'm doing right now came from my journey. So I didn't leave everything behind, or else I couldn't stand and do what he's called me to do. So everything, and Rabbi said this not too long ago, not everything that you learned and you got in your journey was all bad. He brought you from that place to where you are now, and he's taking you to another place. So don't just throw all your stuff away. Look at me. So that's what happens when you walk around. What is Abba taking you through to prove to you that he is who he said he is? Let's go to Genesis 12. A couple pages over, Genesis 12. And I'm going to start at verse 1. And Yahweh said to Abram, Go yourself out. Out of your land, from your relatives and from your father's house to a land which I will show you. Go. He's calling him out. He's calling him out from his family. He's calling him out from his surroundings. He's calling him out for what he's used to, because he's calling him out to a place where he could grow. Many of you, including myself, he called us from where we were to where we are now because he wants us to grow. You didn't come here to sit in a seat and watch me walk around and trip over the speaker. That's a part of why you came, I guess, but you really came because he poked your bubble and you knew there was more. Amen. And you begin, once he poked your bubble and called you out, you begin to look for him. Everywhere you could find, you were looking for him. If anybody mentioned anything about something that wasn't the ordinary, the system that we were in, you were looking to hear what people are saying. Well, what about this holiday? And what about this thing? And I've heard this, and they said this, and we begin to look for him. He called us out, and we begin to search. Where did he call Abram out to? He called him out to a land. He said, I'm going to show you. He didn't even tell him where he was going. A lot of us in this room and online are sitting right where we're sitting, waiting until he tell them where he wants them to go before they move. And guess what? They're going to be sitting right in that same seat. You don't have to know. All you need to know is that he said go, and he'll show you when you begin to move. Stop expecting things to happen in your life and you won't move. Isn't it amazing how we expect greatness, but we're not willing to move until he show us, like you are somebody. Like you've arrived to a place where you deserve for the King of the universe to tell you where he gonna take you. Oh, I arrived because now I know something. You know information. Do you know who he is relationally? You came from the journey where you are, and you came here with an understanding. He poked you, an understanding that there's more to what you thought it was before you took the blue pill. And your bubble was popped, and you saw how it really is. And he brought you to a place that he showed you called Beth Shalom and m.t.o.i. Amen. He did it for me. I heard many testimonies. I know he did it for you too. Let's go verse 2. And I shall make you a great nation and bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I brought you out. I called you out. I pulled you out. I chosen you to do great things so I can bring you closer to me, so I can bring my people closer to me. Everybody that you affect, everybody that you influence, that will listen, that will be obedient, that will walk the covenant out, that will guard my commands, guard my Torah. All of those I'm going to bring in. I brought you out to bring you in. I didn't bring you out to warm the chair. I didn't bring you out to get you so full of yourself that you can't be a blessing to anybody else. He said, I brought you out from a place that I will show you. He ain't showed you to make you a great nation and to bless you and make your name great. And you shall be a blessing. Too many of us just want to be blessed. Why do you think people just want to be blessed? I mean, it's okay to be blessed. Don't be afraid of me saying that. But is it really about you? He said, you should be a blessing. When? A blessing to others. A blessing when I got to sweep the floor. A blessing when I got to break down the setup for Shabbat One. A blessing when you're helping and you're calling and you're volunteering. You shall be a blessing. I'm calling you out. I'm bringing you out. I'm choosing you so you can have a relationship with me. Let's go to Genesis 22:1. Flip a couple pages. I'm going to start in verse 1. And it came to be after these events that Elohim tried Abraham and said to Abraham, and he said, here I am. Hineni. So from the point where Yahweh called Abraham when he was still Abram, now we find him in chapter 22. His name is Abraham. And here comes some test and trial. Can you imagine? I didn't even know this. The Ruach brought it to me when I was studying. Do you know the length of time between the call that Abraham got to this test in verse 22 with his son? You know how many years that was? Somebody guess. Call it out. Just guess. That's a good one. 40 is a good one, but it's not it. Longer. It was more. 60. It was more than 60. It was around 70. 70 years. But we think that he popped our bubble 2 weeks ago, and then we here today, and we think we've arrived somewhere. Abraham waited 70 years from the time he was called to the test to prove that he was sold out for Yahweh. 70 years. And we think we arrived in 2 weeks, 4 months, 6 years, 7 years, 25 years, 30 years. You ain't ready, baby. They keep on chugging along. It ain't your time yet. You keep on chugging along. You ain't made it. But we think, because he popped our bubble, that he called us, that we made it. And many of you are sitting here and online have not chosen to respond. What? I had to do something? I thought he just poked my bubble, popped my bubble. I come to assemble to the place that he showed me, which is m.t.o.i, and I'm here now. Oh, no, that's still work to do. You might get your little mirror out. There's still work to do. Don't look at nobody else. Look, where's my mirror at? It's still work to do. You haven't arrived. 70 years. For what? Let's read. And it came to be after these events that Elohim tried Abraham. What events? If you read Genesis 12 to Genesis 22, you'll find out there's a lot of events, a lot of trials and testing Yahweh took Abraham through to get him to the point where now he could trust him enough to do what he said do. And I would imagine he had to have some kind of relationship to hear the Creator back in chapter 12 tell him to go, not knowing anything, and have enough faith to do it. I mean, so he had what it took. He had the abilities, right? You guys remember me talking about that? He had the abilities within him. Yahweh knew what he had in him because he made him, right? So he knew he had the ability in him to do what he called him to do, but there's still testing and trials and proving and fire and pruning. He brought him out to bring him in. And what did Abraham say? He said, here I am. When somebody called from the congregation and they need help, do you answer the phone or do you turn the ringer off? I'm not judging. Sometimes when Rabbi Steve called, no, I'm teasing. Like somebody could shut the ring off. No, I'm teasing. Somebody know what I'm talking about. They laughing. Oh, it's Marty. Rabbi, it's Marty. He back there laughing. No, I'm kidding. But when we call for help, we put it out on Facebook and we ain't start calling too many people. I called a few people because they said that they would come if I called, and they do come. And I appreciate that. But are you saying, here I am? Now that you've got to the place that Yahweh showed you, when you left from where he told you to leave, You put aside family and relatives and friends, and you left from that place, and you came to where you are now, and you show up. Are you saying, here I am, or you show up saying, here I am in need? I need. I'm consuming, I need. Well, there's 500, 600 teachings online. You need all the need you get can get filled online. But it's about relationship, right? That's why we're here, the fellowship, relationship. And a lot of us move from where we were to where we are to be connected. Because we want to get closer to him. We found information and now we're building our relationship so we can be found in him. So he was in a wilderness, if you want to call it, because we're going to go to that next, but he was in a wilderness kind of situation for 70 years. He was tested and tried. Abraham, 70 years tested and tried before he had to sacrifice his son, which we all know the story. He did it and was successful. And we don't want to wait 2 minutes. I call it the microwave generation, and I don't even got one no more. I don't even use it. So we probably should call it the Instapot, because that's the new thing, or the air fryer generation. Microwaves are getting phased out. All this new technology. We're in the air fryer generation. We just want the hot air to come in and get us all fluffy and get all puffy, and then we jump out. With the soggy fries, absolutely. That's what you're going to get. Or the Instapot. Somebody said that Beth Shalom is a pressure cooker. I believe that. Because when you get ready, it's going to pop. You're going to grow where you're going to go. You're definitely going to grow here. You can't possibly sit here online and listen every week and not grow. You might grow to the point that you just grow in anger. I don't know. And a lot of you grow in anger because you don't want to deal with your mess. You want to come and bring your mess to us to deal with. And guess what? Many of you know I'm going to show you that door. Oh, y'all can't see it. Y'all can't see my door. I show you that door. I said, look, either you're going to get it right, we're going to work it out, or don't you come through this door again until you do it. No, not Elder Billy. Did you pray about it? Are you seeking him for yourself? Are you remembering all the tools and the lessons and the journey that he brought you through to get you to where you are? Did you leave it all behind thinking that somehow miraculously it's going to happen for you by osmosis? He brought you out to bring you in closer to him, not further away. Exodus, Shemoth 3. Let's go. Dun, 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 dun. Calling all Israelites. Transform and roll out. I'm optimist Elder Billy, and I'm calling all of you Israelites. Okay, sorry. Dream of a voiceover one day. No. I'm calling you out to bring you in. Will you accept the challenge? Say, here I am. Chapter 3, verse 1. And Moshe was shepherding the flock of Yithro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the back of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of Elohim. And the messenger of Elohim appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of the bush. He looked and saw the bush burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. Verse 3, and Moshe said, let me turn aside now and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. And Yahweh saw that he turned aside to see, and Elohim called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moshe, Moshe. He probably said it like this. Moshe, Moshe. No, that's... Moshe, Moshe. And he said, once again, what did he say? Are you guys following this? Is your adaptive behaviors adapting to the fact that there's a pattern seem to be forming from Abraham now to Moshe to when he calls you say, yeah. All right, okay, all right. He brought you out to bring you in. Most of you need to start saying it now, here I am. He brought you out to bring you in, but yet half of you are running from him. You're running from responsibility. You're running from the call. A lot of us are running from work. I guarantee you if I had some Levites in the house, they would tell you that running the temple is hard work. That's why it was their job to do, and that's the job that they had, because it's hard work. But what did they say? All right, y'all remember that when I call you. I'm calling you. I got your phone number. I got the list. So Exodus 3, 1 through 4, he called Moshe out. Let's go over to Exodus 12. Couple pages. Twelve and verse 51. And it came to be on the same day that Yahweh brought the children of Israel out of the land of Mitzrayim according to their divisions. He brought the children of Israel out. He called Moshe. He brought his kids out, children out. How many years, you think? We got 70 with Abraham. Well, how many years you think? Just call it out. I'll let you know if you got it. How many years from when he called Moshe till the children of Israel came out of Egypt? 40. Wait, it wasn't 2 weeks, 3 years, 5 years, 6, 9, 10 years? So he called them, prepared them, and the children of Israel didn't come out until 40 years later. And we got a nerve to huff and puff and say, Rabbi, your messages was so much different then. It's different than they are now. You know, I watched, what did I watch? Where's my wife? My baby. There go my baby. All right. We were watching a teaching last night called Leaving Egypt. And I was dumbfounded. I never saw that teaching before. What? Eddie Billy, you see that teaching before? No. Creature. And I watched it, and a couple times through the teaching, Rabbi called me, and we were talking, and I said, you know what? This strange man is on the TV teaching, and it's amazing that the same man called me to talk about whatever he called to talk about. And that's my relationship with him, not yours, so don't hit me, Rabbi Tom, because I said strange. I was teasing. Rabbi Tom is very protective. So am I, Rabbi Steve. But anyway, the point of the matter is I was watching Leaving Egypt. His teaching was an hour, 15 minutes and some change, I think 26 seconds. And I was dumbfounded at the fact that he did the whole entire teaching and didn't open the scriptures one time. Exactly, Mr. Ed. His mouth said, wow. I said, if that's not anointing, because he listed scriptures and he said scriptures and he quoted from scriptures, he didn't open the Bible one time. I said, that is some stuff right there. Some supernatural stuff. If I ain't ever seen it myself. And I'm very grateful for him. But the point of the matter, he's been doing this for a very long time. And then we hear people whose names shall not be named online criticizing what he's doing, what he's been anointed and appointed to do, because they haven't taken the time to come from where they were to get to where they need to go. They need to realize they need to stop looking at everybody else what everybody else is doing. Find your teacher. Find your pastor, shepherd, evangelist, prophet. Find yours. Stop worrying about mine. I'm sure many of you feel that way about your rabbi because I hear you say it. Don't worry about mine. He's mine. If you don't like him, go somewhere else. Not getting no popularity contest. And I look at it in a different perspective sometimes because it's flattering that you need to put the name of the ministry and call him out just to make yourself big on YouTube. Garbage.
I agree to that.
Garbage. Ain't nobody asked you nothing. All right, he called us out to bring us in. So 40 years from Moshe's call to him bringing the children out of Israel, 40 years. All right, let's go to Matthew. Matthew 3, Matthew 3. I didn't pre-find them on purpose because I wanted to flip the pages with you so I knew exactly how much time I needed to know that you would have it. All right, so Matthew 3, we're going to start at 13. Then Yeshua came from Galilee to Yohanan at the Jordan to be immersed by him. But Yohanan was hindering him, saying, I need to be immersed by you, and you come to me? But Yeshua answering said to him, permit it now, for thus it is fitting for us to fill all righteousness. Then he permitted him. And having been immersed, Yeshua went up immediately from the water, and see, the heavens were open, and he saw the Spirit of Elohim descending like a dove and coming upon him, and see a voice out of the heavens saying, this is my Son, the beloved, in whom I delight. You see a calling, a choosing. You see a calling, a bringing out. Yeshua is about to begin his ministry. Like many of you, he's going to get mikvah first. Amen? He's coming to realize, well, I'm sure he already realized because he's who he is. But he said, I'm fulfilling what the words say, and I'm going to get it done. Then if we go to verse 4, it says, very next verse, then Yeshua was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tried by the devil. Called, brought out, he's tested. He was tested. How long was he tested? 40 days. And we went from 70 years to 40 years, now we're down to 40 days. He was tested. And you think that you're going to go from where you were to where you are now to where he's taking you and you ain't going to go through nothing? Oh. I thought we arrived, and so I thought all I had to do was just sit here and soak up and just fill up, and I just want to be overfilled and overflowing. And so you mean now that I got here, I still got stuff to do? But I don't do the other things, yeah, because I called you out. I called you out to bring you in to do what I need you to do and let go of what you wanted to do. I brought you out and brought you in so you can now do my plan and not your own plan. I brought you out and brought you in so you can do what I say do and not what you thought I said to do. So even our Messiah was tested 40 days. Turn a couple pages, let's go to Matthew 22. And we're going to read here, and this is how we're going to sum this all up. And Yeshua responded and spoke to them again by parables and said, who? It says Yeshua responded. He responded to who? Who did he respond to? Previously, he was responding to the Sadducees and the Pharisees, the teachers of the time. You think people are something? You get around some leaders. Wow. I told Rabbi, I said, you're the most honest leader I know, because I've been around some of them, they won't even look at you. Is my car ready? Is my special table ready? Pinky? No. The arrogance, the nerve of some leaders. Not our rabbi. He's down to earth. Look, I carry my own bag. I went to go grab his bag one day in the beginning before I started grabbing it and didn't care what he thought about it. I didn't care that day either, but he didn't know it. He knows now. So I went to go grab his bag. And he said, he did this, that motion. He did this with the bag on his arm. I can carry my own bag. I don't need you to carry my bag. That's okay. He walked, and I just followed right behind him. Well, he got to the end of the hall, and he said, you know what, my shoulder hurting him. Carry this bag for me. We were at a feast. I think it was the first one, maybe the second one. I've been carrying the bag ever since. What would have happened when he carried my own bag? What would have happened if I walked away, if I balled up into a feelings bag, if I just said, oh, he's mean. That's what my daughter says all the time. Oh, he's so mean. Oh, he's so mean. What if I'd have done that? What if I'd have went out and told everybody I know, oh, this Rabbi Steve Burston, he's so mean, he wouldn't even let me carry his bag. Oh, thank you, Shannon. Oh, my gosh. But he's humble, and he's going to tell you like it is. My wife told me last night. She said, you know why Rabbi's a little different? I ain't going to tell on you, babe. Too much. So you know why Rabbi is different than he was, back in the day than he is now? I said, no, share with me some insight. Let me see what you think, and maybe see if you thinking what I'm thinking. She said, he just don't care no more. Not about caring. He doesn't care about what you think anymore. Because his mission is bigger than you. My grandma used to say, you can like it or lump it. I always wondered what she meant by that. You can do what I say because I said do it, or you can take the lump on your head and you're still going to do it. You can like it or lump it. But I appreciate a rabbi, a man of Yah that is willing to stand when nobody else is willing to stand, say what nobody else is willing to say, go and do what nobody else is willing to do because they're too worried about ratings and views and whatever they're worried about. Matthew 22. And Yeshua responded and spoke to them again by parables and said, the reign of heaven is like a man, a sovereign, who made a wedding feast for his sons. Now, we just talked about not having to impress the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the religious order of the time, the religious groups of the time, the leaders of the time, but they were trying to question him and trying to say that he wasn't who he said he was and question his authority. And so he had to say three parables relating to the same thing to get them to understand. That's like me saying no 3 times in a row. No. 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 Did you not understand the first no? It's not happening. And that's the answer usually, no. He says, the reign of heavens is like a man, a sovereign, who made a wedding feast for his sons, verse 2, and sent out his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they would not come. He invited you, called you, chose you, pulled you out, brought you out to bring you in, and now you're here with the place that he showed you, that he placed you, and you're invited to come to him, and you decide not to. You decide not to. You finally get to where you're supposed to be, doing what you believe he called you to do, a place where he showed you, and you decide to do nothing. He invited you to a feast, and you decided not to come. Verse 4, again, he sent out other servants, saying, say to those who are invited, see, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and fattened cattle are slaughtered, and all is ready. Come to the wedding feast. Number 5, but they disregarded it and went their way. How many times he's knocked on your door? How many times have we made excuses? I'm raising my hand for me. I'm not raising it for you. I'm not judging you. Made excuses why we can't come, why we can't do, why we can't serve, why we can't do this, that, the third. We got 1,000,001 excuses. Sadly, all those excuses only mean something to the person making the excuse, because to the hearer, they mean nothing. Excuses are for you. You can give an answer, you can give a solution, but I tell people all the time, your excuse is for you. That's for you to justify your behavior, what you want to do or not do. Your self-sovereignty. 5, but they disregarded and went their way, this one to his field and that one to his trade. This one went home to clean his house, and the other one went to work. When the master, the leader of leaders, because he's talking to, this parable is to leaders, he's sending the servants out. Who are the servants? The servants are the greatest, the leaders are the greatest servants. He's talking to leaders. So if you ever aspire to leadership, understand that aspiring to leadership means you should be the greatest servant. That means you should be able to outdo Shamish Waffle, and I do often. I'm not here to walk around to be served. They come and grab me when I'm trying to take the chairs out and help set up for old negs, usually Shamish Rob. I'm not above helping. He said, go ahead, I know there's some elder things that you have to do. Yeah, help. Help where I'm needed. If nobody needs my help. But he sent his servants out, the ones trained, leaders that are trained to serve others. He calls them servants, sent the servants out. The king has sent servants out to go gather the other people to come to the wedding feast, and they got to go tend to their congregations, their churches. They're having a prayer visual, and they need to go. They're doing a fundraiser, and they need to go. Chicken dinners are on sale, 2 for $10 this week. We have to go and take care of that. You think that leaders don't make excuses? I got to stay at my business because we ran a sale and 2 people called out. I got to be at work. This one to his field, verse 5, and that one to his trade. And the rest, having seized his servants, insulted and killed them. The rest of the people that didn't come, that were invited, that rejected, that didn't come. Seized his servants, insulted and killed them. But when the sovereign heard, he was wroth and sent out his soldiers, destroyed those murderers, and set their city on fire. Then he said to his servants, the wedding feast indeed is ready, but those who were invited are not worthy. I prepared a feast for you. I prepared a place for you. I've prepared something for you from where you are to where you are now. He's prepared something. He's popped the bubble. He brought you out, called you out, chose you out. He's expecting you to respond to the invitation, but a lot of us are here and not responding. We're here, but we haven't said, here I am. We're here, but we ain't trying to change. Did you ever think for a moment that he called you out to a place because he's trying to change you? He brought you out so he could change you. Because the closer you get to him, the closer you should be looking like him. The closer you should be imitating him. The closer you should be trying to mirror your life to line up with Scripture so you can be more like him. So when people see you, they see him. We too busy running around, most of us, hoping, crossing our toes, when we have that conversation at the grocery store, that somehow people are going to look at us and see him. And we try hard too. What if people looked at us and saw him? Because the only part of us that's worth seeing, any good thing in us is all him anyway. But a lot of times we miss it because it's about us. Our plans, our goals, our desires, our wants, our ifs, ands, and buts. But he said those who were invited, verse 8, were not worthy. Therefore, because they're not worthy, go into the street corners, and as many as you find, invite them to the wedding feast. And those servants went out, the ones that were left, into the street corners and gathered all whom they found, both wicked and good. They found everybody. They didn't care. Just come on. You want to come? It's a good meal. Come on, come on. The king is throwing a party, and you're invited. We need you to come. They went out to the street corners. Good, bad, and different. They didn't care because they don't know. Isn't that awesome when nobody knows your name? It's that cheer song. I want to go where everybody knows my name. But sometimes it's good when people don't know your name. Because when they know your name, then they start Googling. Let me see. They start being nosy. Y'all know folk like that? Look, I want to be found in him. Don't Google my name. I'm going to get all kind of emails on Monday. I didn't Google your name. Go ahead, you ain't going to find it. But anyway, they got everybody, good, bad, and different. They rounded up everybody that wanted to come. And those servants went out to the street corners and gathered all whom they found, both wicked and good. Verse 10, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. Say, look, y'all not coming. Y'all know, y'all part of the group. Y'all not coming. Y'all know it's Tuesday night, Torah study. You know you ain't doing nothing. You off for work. You ain't got no reason, no excuse not to come. With the 8 people that came, it's usually about 30 when it's over. You done made every excuse in the world why you can't come. Oh, you had to work late. Oh, my business. Oh, my toe. Oh, my. But I bet you went to work that day. You can hop along for the boss. You can roll in, go to work sick, snotty nose, drippy throat. You can do all that for the boss. But when it comes to the king, you can't make it on Tuesday. What they say? I couldn't find nobody worthy. And when the sovereign came, verse 11, in to view the guests, he saw there was a man who had not put on a wedding garment. In verse 12, he said to him, friend, how did you come in here not having on a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then the sovereign said to the servants, bind him hand and foot, take him away, throw him out into the utter darkness, where there shall be weeping and a gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but a few are chosen. I read this thing. I was like, what? But this guy in verse 11, they said it was good and evil, and I didn't know anybody was worried about which one was who, because the king knows. Why they didn't pull this man out because he wasn't dressed and then wrapped him up and then threw him out? I said, oh my. So I began to go dig and do some research, and in that time, in the culture of kings and queens, if you were invited to the wedding, guess what? They made sure you was top notch, you was straight. They made sure you had on the right shoes and the right tie, the right colors and everything else. They hooked you up. They gave you a bath sometimes and cut your hair and make sure you a nice shave or whatever they need you to do because you're going before the king. Y'all know I'm going to say it. I see some brains thinking, some eyes twitching. But we come into his house all willy-nilly, any way we want, and thinking that we coming before the king. I see it all the time. I've seen it my entire life. I think some people come because they're trying to find a date. And that could go both ways. Either they overdressed or they underdressed. They're showing this, that, or the third. You coming before the king to a wedding feast. You're coming before the king to meet with him. He invited you. And we should come to his house respectfully. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. Go ahead, you can clap. Coming before the king. So he was thrown out. Why was he thrown out? You got invited to my meal. I'm the king, all right? I'm thinking like the king. You came to my meal, invited you to my meal, got you out from the street, wherever you were. I brought you to the meal. I gave you clothes to wear. I gave you an outfit. I told you what was the proper attire. I told you how to act before the king. And then you get here and you sit here with your own clothes on, not respecting my house, not respecting anything that I said as the king. You're just going to come and show up all willy-nilly. And guess what? You're before the king. Why did he do it? Because he didn't care. How did people come in the house and be disrespectful to Rabbi Tom or Reverend Joanne or Reverend Julie or Rabbi Steve? Because they don't care. You in the King of Kings' house with a representative, Rabbi Steve, and the other leadership, and you have the audacity to be disrespectful. How about this one? You don't even speak. You come to the King of Kings' house with a man that he has placed here, anointed and appointed. If it wasn't so, he wouldn't be here, because he calls who he wants and puts who he wants where he wants them to be, and you have the nerve to not speak? How dare you? Bind him up. Get the shamans. Bind him up. Bind him up. Bind him up. You got to go. I know it sounds funny, doesn't it? But it happens. Not just here, it happens everywhere. I'm grateful for a rabbi who doesn't care. Well, let me change that. Let me change that around. I'm grateful for a rabbi that cares so much that those little things don't offend him. But just because they don't offend him don't mean that they're right. We got to do better and get better. He brought us out from where we were to where he is, and he's bringing us into a relationship with him, and now we have work to do. Verse 14, for many are called, but a few are chosen. Choose this day whom you'll serve. You can be like the guy that got thrown out because he wanted to be all self-sovereign. He got things to do. Or you can sit at the master's feet and get that good part. You can sit and learn and grow and apply it. That's how you grow. You actually apply it. I can go and watch YouTube videos all day long on how to get a bigger chest, because I did that at some point in my life years ago. Yes, because I thought, it's manly. I would walk around and be like Oscar. Where's Oscar? That man, dude. I said, dang, he older than I am. That man just, You can watch YouTube videos all day, but like Rabbi say, if you don't go to the gym and apply what you've learned, it's up to no use. That's why my chest still look like it look now. And I put on the jacket so you can't see it. He brought you out to bring you into a closer relationship so that you not only know about him, but you know him intimately, because now he's bringing you into a relationship where he wants to call you friends, no longer servants, but he can't get to that point because you're still acting like a servant. You're at that level. The young people say you're still in the friend zone. You want to come closer, but you're stuck in the friend zone, because you don't know how to apply the necessary knowledge to get out of the friend zone into, courting. I looked at Grace and I'm sorry, I shouldn't have looked at her. I looked over and got distracted. No, I'm kidding. We want to be with him. All this that I've read, all this that we went through, is to get you to let go of who you are and embrace who he is. You want more of him? Let go of you. You want more of him? Look in the mirror and say, everything that I see, until it begins to look like him, I don't even want to look at it. There's one thing that I know for a fact that keeps us, even at this stage in our lives, from getting from where we are to where he is. The number one culprit is ourselves. We've allowed the world, time, work, family, wife, children, everything else to come in and distract us from our true love. It's out of balance. We've allowed the things of the world, the things of wherever, all of the world. And some of these things the world may look at as good, and we allow these things to distract us from who he is and what he wants to do in our life. He brought us out to bring us in, to bring us closer, that we would guard his commands, that we would love him, guarding his commands, doing his word, following it, walking it out. The very thing we're so oftentimes criticized about. You don't have to do that no more. So tell me what it looks like in your life. I guarantee you somebody look at my life that from the world, they can look at my life and see there's something different. They may not know what it is, but they say it's something different. Maybe it's them little strings he got. He got them little strings. Let me see. Oh, maybe it's that anointment glow he had. No. Something different about him. He acts different. I'm going to close with this. After I did tour study a couple weeks ago, Mark Caffaletti came to me and he said, my wife, it was his wife that knew my name when I walked in furious at McDonald's with my soggy fries. And it was his wife standing there, and he said, you know what? She said she couldn't tell. You were just as pleasant, very respectful. She had no idea. And when she heard on tour study, she knew who it was because it was her. She said, oh my, you had it together and couldn't even tell. I said, well, thank you. They saw him. They didn't see me. She saw him. Because I was about to throw it across. That's self, though. That's self. Angry self, but that's still self. I got a meeting to go to. I don't even want to eat at McDonald's. I got to tell my wife that I ate at McDonald's. I'm supposed to be doing keto. And y'all done put me out there like that. Y'all gonna get it. Give me some soggy fries. He was protecting me. I still got them fries, though. Let me tell you, I still ate them. He protected me while I ate them, because I sure ate them. I was on the camera, looking at the camera while I was preparing for the message, and many of you I saw come in. And I'm going to tell on my family. There was a piece of paper, a big piece of paper, like a bag floating or whatever on the ground. And I saw several people walk over the bag. Actually stepped on it, walked over it, right in the parking lot. And I'm looking. So I wrote a little note, because I would let me write a little note. And it says, paper in the parking lot. How many times in your journey from where you were to where you are now to where you're going that you overlook the small things that are in your way? And you're on a mission to come in here to lift up prayer and praise, and you just step right over. You walk right on it. And that's a bag, but what else are we just walking over? Ain't learning, ain't picking it up, nothing. You know who did it? After 5 people stepped on that bag, kicked the bag, watched the bag roll by? Edie, my youngest daughter. She picked it up. And it must have had a couple dollars in it, because she was so happy with that bag. And she bought it in and she put it in the trash can. But how many times did we in life watch that little piece of trash, that little bag flow by, that little thing that may be insignificant to us, that he's watching how we respond to it? We think we got to do something great. We could do something as simple as pick up a bag, pick up a piece of trash. Something as simple as going around and getting the plates and the cups. But yet I watch, and week after week, I see other men joining in to do it. But week after week, I used to watch Sharma's Waffle, just get the paper and the cups. Just get up. Don't have. This is very serious, but it made me laugh because I think if you got the fork to your mouth midstream, but it's disconnected from that plate, and he come past, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's gone. But it's those little things that we overlook and we take for granted that Abba sees, and he wants to know who's going to pick that bag up. He wants to know when we putting these chairs away at the end of service, who's reaching out. I watch, and I'm talking about being a greatest servant. I watch grown men stand around and talk and see everybody else putting chairs away and won't help put chairs away. Now just about everybody does it, and I'm very grateful. So it wasn't last week, so don't get your feelings hurt. If so, it's a feelings bag. Somebody making them right now. I know they are. They're making them. But stop overlooking the little things, because he's watching. And guess what? I'm watching too. All these men saying that they want to be shamish, or they want to serve, or they want to minister, or they want to teach, or they want to do this. I'm watching you. Because I want to see if you're going to be that one that walks over the piece of trash, or you're going to be the one that bend over and pick it up. Because he's looking at the heart. He brought you out to bring you in for him, not for you, for him. Because he loves you. He has a purpose for you. He's called you out, brought you out. Adam and Eve kicked you out. Ultimately to bring us back to him. Amen? Amen. Come on and give him a praise. Before we go into the afterburn, I just want to remind, is it remind? I don't know if it's remind. Our mikvah that we do. And Rabbi's teaching last night on leaving Egypt, he was talking about the mikvah and how it came about, how it was 7 and now it's 8. And it really struck me. I went and printed it out so I could read it. And I got mikvah a couple of years ago. But what does it really say? What does it really say about us coming out from where we were, him bringing us out, kicking us out, calling us out, pushing us out, because he knew we had somewhere to go. From where we were to where we are now and where we got to go, he has these instructions. And I'm going to read 1 through 8, okay? So I don't know if Marty can do what he do, make it afterburn or what. But this is what it says. A lot of you will remember it, and you might need to get a copy and so you can say it every day to yourself. Is it your desire to make a change from Tameh to Tahor? That's number 1. Are you ready to bury the old man? 3, do you of your own free will renounce your citizenship in the kingdoms of this world and Hasatan and sovereignty over yourself? And we all said, Amen. I do. Number 4, do you of your own free will choose to be a citizen in the kingdom of Elohim? And we all said, I do. I do. Do you of your own free will, number 5, choose to submit yourself completely to the rulership and authority of Elohim? I do. We say, I do, until somebody says something you don't like. I'm just going to carry this around. I'm going to get some of them like y'all have, and I'm just going to pass them out when they have an attitude and they suck their lips and they roll their eyes and just hand it to them. Read it. You said it. Read it. Just go ahead. Just look. Just go ahead. Go ahead. Read it. No. Don't talk to me until you read it. Go ahead and read it, because you signed off. You got a oil anointed to blew the shofar. Read it. Number 6, do you of your own free will commit to take all the responsibilities of being a citizen of the kingdom of Elohim and strive to live by Torah, the teachings and instructions of Yahweh? And we said, I do. Number 7, do you of your own free will request that Yahweh annul any and all previous agreements with any and all organizations and authorities that you have made that are in conflict with him. And we said, and lastly, the eighth one that he added, do you of your own free will choose to take upon yourself the names of Yahweh and Yeshua and to commit to walk out the rest of your life in such a way as to bring his name's glory and honor and not shame? And we all said,
I do.
Amen. Let's pray. Abba, we thank you for calling us out and bringing us out to bring us in closer to you and to a deeper relationship, to another level of relationship with you in our journey from where we are to where you are. Our heart's desire is to let go of ourselves and embrace all of you, that we would be nothing and that you would be everything, and that you would use these mortal bodies as vessels fit for your use to do what you want to do in this world. We lay aside every care and every weight, and we say, Abba, have your way. We know sometimes we get distracted. We know sometimes we get off the path, but we're getting on again. We're remembering the words that we said when we got in that water, when we left the old man behind, and we look in the mirror on a daily basis and say, you will not hold me down, old man. And we thank you for your strength. We thank you for your love. We thank you that you first loved us and chose us. And today we want to choose you. Today we want to recommit to the commitments that we made that day when we went down in that water. And we thank you and appreciate you that you called us out. You brought us out to bring us in. We thank you. We give you all praise and glory in the name of Yeshua, our Messiah. Amen. Amen. Amen.